Do you have a baby on the way at some point here in 2023?
I hope not.
Same. Well, if you do, one of the big things you have to do is name that kid. You're going to be saddling this child with a name for the rest of its life. Do you want to be trendy? Because we have got the crazy baby name trends of 2023. Some of these are going to blow your mind. They're coming up in just a few minutes. Hey there, back again for another show. And again, I have to start this show with a shout out to my beautiful Betty, who is now 5-1.
Incredible. Do not make wagers for the Super Bowl until she makes her pick.
Pretty exciting. I was so happy to see. I mean, she's only missed one pick in the last couple of weeks. Got both the games last weekend. A little nervous about that Bengals game. That was coming down to the wire there, but thankfully they helped her out.
I mean, think about it. What'd you say the record was? 5-1?
She's 5-1, yeah.
Think about the pros on all the pre-games are not that good.
Yeah, it's been a good year for Betty. So she'll be making her Super Bowl picks pretty soon.
Please repost it when she and mention. We'll mention in the post that she's 5-1, but share it with everyone, because if she gets this right, I think next year we could sign her to a deal.
Yes, it's pretty great. It's funny. Katie works for Williams-Sonoma, and she's been actually sending the video out to everybody she works with, like at the corporate level, say, hey, if you want to make bets, here's who Betty's picking.
Yes.
And they've all been pretty impressed with her work. So I like to know that even though she's not feeling her best, she's still bringing it every week.
Oh, she is. A game, for sure.
All right. And then another quick note, because I don't normally wear. So this is an odd shirt, but we'll give a prize of some kind to the first person in the comments who can identify the TV show that this shirt is from.
Wow. Okay.
And I love the show. And when I say prize, I mean...
Well, clearly you must. I mean, to wear a half shirt like they used to wear in the 80s.
That's right. I'm really devoted. I'm a huge fan of this show, so there's something for you to think about. So, talking about entertainment, and we all get our entertainment different ways, but most of us are streaming on some platform or another.
And everything's changing on that stuff, but Netflix has got some good stuff going.
Yeah, I say one thing that stands every month is they bring us new good stuff. Mm-hmm. So let's dive in. If you are a fan of fantasy epics, and Chris, I know you are.
Yes,
you'll be
love them.
Thrilled to know that the Lord of the Rings are coming to Netflix. No? I could have sworn you love those.
I think I made it through what's the other one? I'm trying to think of. Lord of the Rings I made it through 40 minutes of one of them, the first one.
I'm shocked you made it that long.
And this was back in San Diego days, I think, and I was like, I'm out.
Hey, it's not for everybody. I get it. It's like sci-fi is not for everybody. Fantasy's not for everybody. Totally.
Now, Lord of the Onion Rings, I'm in on that.
Okay. Check your box. You can't mention Lord of the Rings on this show and not have him make that joke.
Exactly.
This feels like a good place for a roper. Okay. Now, if you love... I've never watched an episode of this show. I'm not sure why it's such a big deal, but I know people love it. Season 6, the great British baking show, The Professionals, is coming to Netflix.
Out.
I mean, I like cooking shows, but I just don't know. What is it about... Hit us in the comments, please. Why is this show big? Why do people care about this? I mean, there's something to it, obviously.
I want the show of cleaning the kitchen to become popular, where everybody's like, oh, have you seen them cleaning the kitchen? It's such a good show.
Off topic, but I think this was a Netflix thing. Remember Marie Kondo?
Yes.
She's off straightening up. She's done with it.
Yeah.
Did you see that story?
I think that's just a spin to get attention.
I would feel so cheated if I had, because people were like basing their life around what this woman said and changing things and getting everything done. And she's like, yeah, I don't really have time for that anymore.
PR scam.
Okay.
PR scam.
Okay. You think so? Another season's coming or something?
Oh, something's coming. It's going to be her trying to get her life back together. Like, oh, I've become a slob. Now I've got to go through and redo it and then relaunch her.
Good. Luckily for me, I ignored the whole first thing. So
Good.
I don't have to worry about this. Are you a fan of You?
Oh, the TV show? Rach watches it. I do not.
Yeah, we attempted the first season, and I just couldn't get into it. But it's back, so you got that coming on. Let me zip through some movies. The Bad Boys 1 and 2. Remember those
movies? And 3, yeah.
The 3's not, only 1 and 2 are coming.
No, oh.
You don't get to watch 3 on Netflix.
They just announced they're filming 4.
Yeah, not really a fan. It, I know a lot of people were big fans of the remake of It.
I liked it.
That's coming back.
And I tell you, if you watch on It, what creeps me out, the library scene's the creepiest scene in the movie to me, where that lady in the back's just staring. Mm-hmm. But according to the director or whatever, Pennywise is in every scene where they're all talking somewhere. And whether it's like the old lady that's just staring, or there's a drawing, like it shows there's a wall with a bunch of graffiti, and then halfway through the scene, all of a sudden Pennywise is on that, and you don't notice it unless you're really looking for it.
I wanted to love that movie. I mean, the original miniseries that came out in the 80s was just not great. And they just didn't do it for me because that book is so epic, and it's probably my favorite Stephen King book. And I really wanted to like it. I just couldn't.
Okay.
I just
See, since I don't read, I loved it.
Yeah. So that's the beauty. See, that in those situations, you're the winner because you don't even realize what you're missing.
As always.
Okay. Lyle Crocodile coming to Netflix this month.
Is that the Shawn Mendes or whatever where he's...
I don't know.
And I think the Javier Bardem's in it, too.
That sounds right.
Oh, it looks awful.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks awful.
So now you can watch if you already pay for Netflix.
I'm like, he's an Oscar winner.
Yeah. Sometimes I guess you do. I mean, is this a kids movie though?
I don't know.
Do they have kids?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But it's terrible. It looks terrible. I guarantee it's terrible.
This is one I know a lot of people are enjoying, and it's based on an old radio bit, but Love is Blind, where you don't see the people.
Oh, yeah.
That's Blind Date. Those things were being done on radio 25 years before they turned it into a television show, but it's coming back.
Remember when we had the producer that wanted to do that, and we did that bit with him? He approved a bit without us approving it, where it got sold, where we were basically doing The Bachelor on the air, and every bit he always pitched was to gear back to give him attention.
So it was dates.
Yeah, so it was like 20 girls are going to try to get this young man's attention, and he's going to be the star and get all this attention from ladies, and he was going to pick the prettiest one and go out with her. And we're like, nah, if you guaranteed us to do it to sales before we had a chance, so we made him wear a blindfold and actually ask questions, and he was livid. And the night of the date, like he was there for 15 minutes, and we sent a chaperone. And he was there for 15 minutes, didn't pay for her coffee or whatever it was they met and had, and just left.
Yeah.
He was so upset he didn't get to let me just pick the prettiest girl and have him fawn all over me.
It's funny. That's the second story we've told about somebody who used to work for us who did something really stupid, but who went on though to some success because he's doing well now, and actually came back to us many years later and apologized for some of the things he had done, and he said, I get it now. You were really trying to teach me, and I thank you for everything. So it's been quite a trend in our career that people, they hate us in that moment.
The tough love.
When we're trying to teach them, but then they come back later and go, hey, I'm successful now, and part of it's because of what you taught me. If you just listen the first time, God, why doesn't anybody ever listen?
I don't know.
My kids included. So if you like Jim Jeffries, he's got a High and Dry comedy special coming.
Is that the Whisper guy?
No, he's Australian.
Jim Jeffries.
He's, I don't know how to describe him. I've seen him a few times. I think he's hilarious. Not for everyone.
Okay, then it ain't who I'm thinking. I'm thinking of the guy that...
Jim Gaffigan?
Yes, that's who I was thinking
Where
of.
every joke ends with him whispering.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems like a nice guy, but no. All right, so I think we've pretty well handled the stuff we're familiar with. Now, there's going to be a lot of original content coming up. Obviously, there's some new Netflix original movies, some new original series. But as always, if you're paying your whatever it is now, $15-16 a month, they're trying to give you your money's worth.
Yeah.
So thank you, Netflix. And speaking of what we're watching and entertainment, man, we got a bunch of stuff to share with you.
Yes, I've started watching the Pamela Anderson thing.
Oh, a love story? Or
yes. And it's really interesting. I like documentaries, but, we were in Southern California during this heyday of Baywatch and all this, and what a whirlwind it was for her. It's interesting to hear her version of it. And she's going through her sons produced it and directed it, but it's like interesting to see her going through her journals and stuff, and it's also showcasing what we all suspected. Like one of them, she's like reading it, and she's like, "Oh, okay." Woke up at Mario Van Peebles' house, got dressed, showered, went over to Scott Baio's house. Oh, okay. And I'm like, "Wow, she's."
Well, I don't think that's news to anybody.
Yeah, I don't think it was breaking new ground.
Weren't we on an episode of Baywatch?
Yeah, that was a weird episode. We were supposed to be. They filmed it at the Hotel Del
Coronado in San Diego,
and we were asked to come out, interview the entire cast, and do our show from out there. And we're like, absolutely. And they were going to put us in the episode.
Okay.
And so we got out there, set up shop, and 6 o'clock rolls around and nobody shows up. 7, the people. What had happened is the night before they all went out partying, and none of them. And now we're like, we got 30 minutes left in the show, and we have not interviewed anyone. And then I think they took us over to Pam Anderson for a minute.
I thought I remember meeting her.
I've got a picture of her from that day.
Okay.
Notice the glasses. Then they said, we're going to put you in a scene. And we were supposed to have lines, and then something happened. And I think all it is us just walking by the entrance.
But we're in it.
The world's most popular show at the time, Tony and I are in it.
Really, all I need
They hit us in David Hasselhoff's chest hair. You have to look really close.
You can see like one of my eyes. I got a little look. It's like Artie Johnson. Interesting.
Exactly.
One for the 70-year-olds. What are you watching right now?
Well, besides that, I'm trying to think what else I'm watching. You People. I saw that Eddie Murphy, Jonah Hill. It's the update of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Yeah.
The first 10 minutes, I had high hopes.
Yeah, you texted me and said, hey, I think this is going to be really good.
And then I finished it and wish I hadn't.
Yeah, I got another text back. Hey, I just finished it. I take back my first 10 minutes review.
Yeah. First 10 minutes had a lot of cameos from great legendary actors.
Okay.
And then it was just, ugh.
Oh, that's too bad. I hate to hear that.
Yeah, it was not good.
So we are, I guess, I'm trying to think what we watched. I actually started a show and Katie wasn't home. I stopped after one episode because I thought she'd like it. And this has been around. I think it's got 2 seasons out on Apple TV right now called Slow Horses. And I had heard of it before and I knew that Gary Oldman was in it. And I love Gary Oldman.
Okay.
He's one of our best actors alive today. And I can tell you, based off just one episode, I love it.
Okay, is it about like getting some horses in shape that aren't running very fast?
No.
Oh.
From what I can gather, I think the slow horses are this group of spies that he is overseeing. So he oversees the people who are kind of losers.
Ah, okay.
Like they're either being put in this division of MI5 to be punished, or they're just not great.
I can see how we could relate.
I mean, exactly. So I've only seen one episode, so I'm not sure where this is going to go. But I really enjoyed it. He's great, so I would give it a tentative thumbs up.
Okay.
And we'll see some more of it. Again, I know I'm a little late on this. A bunch of you have probably already seen it. What else are we watching right now? Oh, one of my favorite comedians, Nate Bargatze.
Oh, you love him.
I've been pushing Nate for a long time.
We got to get him on the show.
He's got a podcast, and I will say the podcast that they do, there are some very funny moments, but it's like they don't edit, and it's like 2 hours long, and I don't have that kind of time.
Nobody's got 2 hours.
Yeah, but I think he's very funny, and he's a rare case where a comedian is clean, and I still think he's funny. But he's got a brand new special that just came out on Prime, Amazon Prime. He's been a Netflix guy, and they talked about it on his podcast. I guess, why'd you make the switch? And he said it was very simple. Netflix wouldn't let me own my stuff, and Amazon let me be the owner. So Nate Land produced it. They own the content, and that's why he went there.
That's smart.
And I would say generally, I got a lot of good laughs. I don't think this is his best special by any stretch, but he's got some great moments. And if you already like Nate, you're going to love this special.
Okay.
So that's one. And then also, he's not new. He's been around a long time, but we just came across him. Gary Goldman.
Oh, from Arnold from Different Strokes.
No, that's Gary Coleman.
Oh.
Different guy. This guy's still alive, I think.
Oh, okay.
No, we came across him on TikTok, and he did a couple of bits that we thought were really funny, so we went and searched for his specials, found a few free ones on Amazon, and then I guess he just recently, in the last couple of years, got his first ever HBO special, and Judd Apatow produced it.
Oh, wow.
But it's interesting because it's not just him standing on stage telling jokes. I guess he suffered from crippling depression, knocked him out of the business for a couple of years. He was in the hospital. It was bad. And he hits it head on in this special. So it's in between him doing stand-up, and then they'll go and like show an interview with his mom where she talks about never realizing what he was. But it's very funny and very interesting, and I think he's great. Somebody you might want to check out. And then it's the episode everybody's talking about. If you're already watching The Last of Us on HBO, based on the video game, we're only a few episodes in, but I think generally speaking, people love it. I know we do at our house. And I would say, without question, and I'm not alone in this, that the episode that just aired this last Sunday, maybe the best episode of television of any show I've seen in a long time. In fact, there are headlines, multiple places writing the headline, The Last of Us just set the bar for the rest of the year. They said this may very well be the best episode of TV that comes out this year, even though it's only January.
Well, it's funny. Was it emotional? What made it so good?
It was very unexpected, at least for those of us who don't know the game. And I said they swayed from the game. It starts out with what you expect in the show. They're still traveling, trying to get Bella to where she's supposed to be. But in the process, we meet Frank and Bill. I think that's their names. And Nick Offerman is in this role, one of these roles, and playing...
That's Parks and Rec guy, right?
Yeah, playing so against... It starts out playing exactly the kind of character you think he'd be playing. But it takes a turn, and instead they spend an hour telling one of the most beautiful love stories I have ever seen. And Katie and I, we cried, we laughed, we were just like blown away. By the time this airs, I'll have his name. I can't remember. He's the guy who played Armand in White Lotus, and he's also brilliant in this storyline. But it is just, I did not expect to cry at a zombie apocalypse episode of television. But and then there'll be the bigots who hate it.
Oh, okay.
And to you, I say whatever. But I think it's great. It was just great television.
I haven't heard you that excited about an episode of TV since Della Reese played Mr. T's mom in A-Team. Well, that was emotional. You want to talk about emotion? Man, and then when she dropped the little secret that Mr. T's nickname was Scooter when he was a kid, and Hannibal and Face just, they let him have it.
You're mocking me, aren't you?
No, never.
It was fantastic. If Nick Offerman doesn't at least get a nomination of some kind for this role from somebody, I will be shocked because, man, unexpected.
Going back to Mr. T on the A-Team, just so you know, when you mocked me for talking about it, it wasn't 2 weeks ago that I watched it as it happened, and then like the next day, Chris Young from Hawaii sends me a video of him watching it. Like, hey, did you know Mr. T's mom was Della Reese? So...
Not in real life, on the show. Let's make sure we're clear about it. I don't want to be spreading any misinformation.
Yes, that's all we need is false A-Team misinformation out there. That's all that would be wrong with the world.
Yes. On the subject of entertainment and Hollywood, and this is really your thing, and Chris follows a lot of this stuff more than I do, but I'm always interested to hear the stories, and luckily I have somebody to sift through it for me.
I won't mention the name of the lady, but there was a gossip lady. She used to own or be tied into Deadline. You remember that service?
Sure, yeah.
And she passed away. But before she died, apparently she had a lot of dirt that never got released that she kept as insurance. And they do that, just so you know, if you're thinking, oh, that sounds out there. TMZ, all those things, they cut deals. Back in the day, remember, Arnold Schwarzenegger had a deal with National Enquirer. They also owned a fitness magazine.
Either Men's Health or Men's Fitness, one of those. Yeah,
and they made Arnold the editor of the magazine. He had nothing to do with it, but the deal was, can we use your name as editor of this fitness magazine, and we'll never put a bad story about you in the Enquirer. So those kind of things are going on all the time, and this lady had the dirt, and apparently she sent out packets to multiple people, and when I say a hammer's about to drop, they said it's Harvey Weinstein level, and one A-list actor is definitely involved that nobody's going to see coming. And they said
it better not be Tom Hanks.
Oh, I don't think it could be. But then you've got a director, a producer, a bunch of those kind of people involved that they said it's going to drop. But also some singers, pop music and country music, Harvey Weinstein level.
I got to be honest. I'm not shocked by that.
No,
we have seen this behavior. We've witnessed some of the things that happen, and it kind of blows your mind when it does. But I think what we've seen less of them harassing people who don't want the attention. We've seen more of the people begging for the attention and getting it, even though these people might be married or whatever. But it's still like, man, you'd think after all this time they would get it in their heads. I can't get away with this anymore.
So I'm dreading the A-list actor because I'm scared it's going to be somebody I really like.
Yeah, so that's my thing. It's like there are people that I've enjoyed who have lost the ability to watch now because I feel bad supporting them over the last few years. But I wonder, and so no timeline. We don't know when this is going to.
Sometime this year. They said it could be any time. I just hope it's not Steven Seagal. I would just hate to hear a terrible story about him.
Yes. A-list and Steven Seagal, those two things have never hit in the same sentence before.
But I mean, like, there's multiple actresses said that, like, Jenny McCarthy said one of her first big roles she went into audition for. He goes, okay, let's lower the dress. This is going to involve nudity. And she goes, no, I've already talked to my agent. There's no nudity in the movie. He goes, it's off-screen nudity.
Off-screen.
And she's like, I'm out of here.
That's not a bad line, though.
It was quick. I'll say that.
It's smarter than I thought, maybe. Okay, well, I hate to hear those stories, but at the end of the day, and we know it, and this has been going on since Hollywood existed. Mm-hmm. And there are men who are pigs, there are men who are pieces of, and they do these things. And sadly, there are women who, especially then, I hope less now, I don't know, but especially then, they thought this was the only way. This is the only thing I can do.
I'll say this, though. If they thought they escaped the Me Too movement, it's like, oh, that's kind of died down. I came out unscathed, and then this hits. It's going to be like, oops, didn't make it.
Me Too Part 2. See, I made a Hot Shots reference.
This time it's personal.
Okay. Not trying to make light of that in any stretch of the imagination. So we get a lot of questions, even before this show started. We still get questions now, but
the biggest one is why?
Why do you guys keep doing this to us? No. Please stop doing this to us. Somebody's starting to GoFundMe to raise enough money for us to stop doing this.
That's what we should do, is give two options. You can tip to this. If we hit this goal, we'll stop. If we hit this goal, we'll keep going.
That's not a bad idea, actually. I want to think about that. No, but we get questions all the time, and usually they come not so much in the comments here on YouTube yet, because this is still kind of a fledgling thing for us, but we want to make it more than that, obviously. But radio friends have that text line. We promote it every week, and we'll give it out again. It's a Google Voice line, so you can text it from anywhere, 865-896-9363. So we'll get questions, or people will send, whatever, pictures, stuff. But one of the number one questions we get, and I'll just share this one, because it's the same version. Hey guys, I'm going to be visiting Nashville soon. Any recommendations on where I should visit?
Not Broadway.
Not Nashville. Oh, no. We get it asked all the time because, they assume we have some kind of really cool inside information. The inside information we have is not that inside. If you look on the internet, you can see Lower Broadway, which is where everybody wanted to go back in the day because it was Tootsie's, it was the stage, it was these really cool places to see live music.
There's so much history down there too. Like Tootsie's had all Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson used to sweep the floors in there. That kind of stuff.
I mean the Ryman, which is right behind it. They used to cross the alley to have drinks between sets. But then things have just grown up so fast, too fast.
And we're not knocking it if you like to party, but it is shoulder to shoulder. And not just partying. I mean, it is Jason Aldean's. There was an arrest made the other night of a young man, 23, intoxicated, went in there, started urinating on people sitting at the bar. And then this is the part that concerns me. Not that. The cops.
I'm not shocked that doesn't concern you.
The cops come get him and offer to let him go. Like, just come get somebody to come get you. So it's happening so much down there.
They just can't keep up.
That they're like, you know what? He just peed on a few people. Just get out of here.
This is not the worst thing we're going to see in here tonight.
And he wouldn't leave because he was so drunk. So then they ended up taking him to jail, and I think he got charged either $100 or $1,000, and they dismissed the charges the next day. And there's multiple stories of that. The guy at Kid Rock's bar slinging his colostomy bag around in there. And I mean, these things are happening more and more because these people don't come just to have a few drinks and enjoy music. They come to get hammered.
I don't understand. Maybe somebody can help explain this. Because Vegas has had the reputation since it was around. That's people, Sin City, and people go there to do those things. But we've been to Vegas many times, and I've never encountered this kind of behavior there.
I've never seen it either.
We've been to New York. We've Times Square. We've been to L.A. We've been all these places, and I've just never seen it where it's like people decide. New Orleans, I don't think we've seen it this bad. Close, but not this bad in New Orleans. And I think that one of the issues Nashville has is they want to be New Orleans. They've done all these things to try to make themselves New Orleans. If you've been there recently, they block off Lower Broadway so there's no cars down there on the weekends, and they want it to be like Mardi Gras. But they don't have enough people to make it safe
to police it.
And so you just have this 6 square block radius of
pickpockets,
horrible devastation, thievery, and harassment, and guys swinging colostomy. But is it really a party till somebody swings their colostomy?
Well, there was a year or two ago, and if we can find it, we'll throw it up on the screen. But there was a guy in the new hotel down there. Is the Omni? Is it or whatever?
Oh,
I think.
The new convention center.
Yeah, and it's 4 a.m, and he's walking through buck naked the lobby, and he's not locked out of his room. He's just drunk. He doesn't know what he's doing, and he was with a work convention. Wow. And it's all on video. So he lost his job, lost his career, had to go home to his wife and go, guess what?
So it wasn't like when I got locked out in my underwear at the Holiday Inn.
Way worse.
Okay, good. That's a true story. That's a story for another day.
Yeah.
So to answer that question, that was the long version of all the things that are happening there now. The answer is, if you want to go and you want to party, Lower Broadway, but be ready to be shoulder to shoulder.
Blow a lot of money.
Blow a ton of money on overpriced drinks. Not really. I think a lot of people have these dreams of grandeur that they're going to see somebody famous down there, and it's possible. Anything's possible, but it's not the norm. Think of how many days go by when nobody shows up at their own club or whatever, and you're just saying,
Well, most of those people that have their name on a bar agree to show up X amount of times a year and perform 1 or 2 songs. Unless it's like a album release party, and those parties are private. And then when they do sing 1 or 2 songs, they come in through the back, go up there, sing, yell at everybody, and leave, so that they know that social media will do the advertising.
Yeah. So I guess if there's advice, go during the week, during the day.
If you want to see the history and enjoy music.
And then you can, actually hear some live music, and it's still going to be busy, it's still going to be a problem, but it won't be nearly as bad. Do not go on a Friday or Saturday night unless you want to just take your life into your own hands.
And you want to party. And if you're going for that reason, then knock yourself out.
Well, you probably will.
Yeah.
Or someone will knock you out for you. Just be careful. So and again, number one question, but there's just no good advice. And it used to be we could send you to places kind of on the outskirts, like in Midtown and stuff, but you can't even do that anymore.
No.
Because it's all kind of grown over into that area as well. So I'm not sure what's going to happen next.
Yeah, it's crazy how busy it is.
It's nuts. So this brings us to the thing we talked about at the beginning. If you got a baby on the way, or you're thinking about getting pregnant this year, congratulations, good for you. One of the biggest things you're going to have to do, and I didn't realize the pressure of this, and you escaped it, you're lucky, naming a child.
Well, let me just give the advice, everybody, and I want a piece of this when you do it, is naming rights. I'm telling, like they do the stadiums. If Rach and I were to adopt a child or have a child, Gatorade Rochester's got a great ring to it, or something like that. Just charge some money. Name them.
I think you have to be somebody who they care to get the name attached to, though. And I'm not sure.
Calvin Klein Rochester.
Not sure you've reached that level yet. It's challenging though, because you want a name that makes sense. You have either it's a family name or it's this name, or we want to be different, but you don't want to be so different that you end up being mocked, like Apple with Paltrow's kid, or all the Kardashian names.
For the rest of your life, every time someone calls your name, you see them going, is it Apple?
Yeah, I mean,
what is that?
And I'm all about being different. That's great, but there comes a point where you have to think, what am I doing to my kid?
Yes,
is this something that's going to get my kid mocked or beaten up or who knows what else? So there's a fine line there, and you also don't want them to be counting down to the day they turn 18 so they can change their own name.
And that's the reason why I'm proposing, when I'm president, everybody gets the same name. Larry if you're a boy, and Margaret if you're a girl.
It's almost like if George Foreman was our president.
Yes.
Everybody's named George.
Oh, hey, Larry. Hey, Larry. What's up, Larry?
No. That's
I think it'd be great.
One of the very small reasons you will not be elected president. There's way bigger ones.
I was going to say, that's the problem?
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about some of the baby trends. Here are some of the more interesting, maybe outlandish, weird, I don't know, baby trends for 2023. See if you're up for any of these.
So these are actual baby trends.
Okay, so one of the big trends we're going to see apparently is word names, where it's just like, it could be anything.
Okay.
Like microphone.
No, that's not a trend.
Not on this list. However, what do you think about Journey?
The band? I can see that being a name.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's on the list. Rain, Axel, Crew, also on this thing.
Oh, wow.
And this points to that Kardashian factor.
Gotcha.
North, Saint, Dream. They just pick out these names. And remember, we went a long time ago, did the deep dive on Nick Cannon.
I was going to say, this is all in the Cannon realm, it sounds like.
And again, I get it. You want to be different. You want to do something unique. And I think that's okay to a point. Some of these aren't bad. Like for me, True, TRU, that's not horrible. But Halo, Ocean, George Costanza would be thrilled. Seven is on the list.
Oh, really? That's from a whole episode there.
Why would you name your kid Seven?
I'm going back to the Halo. I just hope that it's somebody that gets married and the last name becomes Top.
It's a delicious ice cream. But these are things you have to think about. You have to think about, what will the nicknames be? How will they possibly mock them?
Yes.
A lot goes into it. Goth glam names are hot this year, apparently.
I don't even know what that means.
Well,
is that because of Wednesday?
I think Wednesday might be having something to do with this. And the consultants on this thing talk about the fact that when fashion goes kind of dark, goth, whatever, then the names will follow.
Okay.
And I guess that's something that's happening. So Dorian.
Out.
Oscar Wilde, who wrote The Picture of Dorian Gray. So Wilde with an E as a first name.
Okay, I'm not opposed to that.
How about Elsinore?
Oh, from the beer and Strange Brew.
Wow. That's impressive.
Wasn't that the name of the beer?
I think it's the brewery.
Yeah.
That came out in, 83?
Yeah, something like that. McKinsey Brothers.
Okay. It has nothing to do with that.
Oh, I thought finally that movie was getting the recognition it deserved.
It's an impressive pull,
and making trends.
Now, Elsinore after Hamlet's Castle, Hamlet being a very dark Shakespearean tale.
And coincidentally, Strange Brew was loosely based on Hamlet.
That
is true.
That is not true.
It is very much true. Look it up.
Okay. I guess I just didn't catch it when I was watching it when I was 14 years old. I'll have to go back and take a look. Echo names. Like it's almost like hippies are ruling the world again. Juniper, sage.
Okay, that all sounds like flavors of weed or something.
Well, those are on the list. How about moss?
At the CBD oil places.
What do you think about moss?
No, I don't like it.
What's on the list? River is a big one.
Okay, River Phoenix was the name.
I was going to say, it's like the hippies are coming back around on that. For some reason this year, I guess Scandinavian names are going to be big. Otto and Viggo. Viggo, I don't think anybody would think about, but with Viggo Mortensen, you could see that. But how about Dagny or Alva?
Dagny Coleman was great.
That's Dabney Coleman.
Oh.
The sad thing about those kind of jokes is 90% of people they're too young.
I don't care. That's the thing I love about me. Is I say a joke, I know it's funny, and that's all I really care about entertaining.
I'll see your joke, and I'll raise you sex symbol status. My wife loves Dabney Coleman, thinks he's sexy.
Wow.
So here's a picture of the man my wife, which is great for me because I could really...
Yeah, the bar's been set low.
Yeah, Ernest Borgnine's another one of her favorites.
Man.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's very offensive to me.
There's a lot of question there. Some therapy needs to be scheduled.
Vintage names, and I think vintage names will never go out of style. And for me, I love them. I especially, like we think about vintage names for our animals. All of our animals have old person names.
Yes.
Henry, Betty, Doris.
Yes.
We love that kind of thing. So that's going to be big for kids this year. Silas, Josephine.
Okay, I could get behind that one.
Goldie.
Goldie Hawn comes to mind.
Mavis.
Or the mayor of
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
Goldie Wilson.
Yes.
Okay. If we can't
we know our Goldies.
We can't tie it to a movie or a TV show. Don't even bother bringing it up. 3 to 4 syllable names. So really long names that are just ultimately going to get broken down to a nickname anyway. So why bother? But here's some that are on this list. Sebastian, Theodore, Santiago, Ezekiel, Genevieve, Magnolia. Any of those striking fancy? No?
I'm out.
Not going with any of those? How about some animal names? Sparrow.
That sounds like a spy.
Or lark. How about bee or fox?
No.
Wolf.
No.
Dove.
No.
Aardvark.
Maybe anteater at best.
Modern virtue names: revel, candor, merit, wonder, valor, bliss. There's so many of the word names. I miss.
And they all sound so like valor and that kind of stuff. If they want it more realistic, it needs to be like debt.
Cowardice.
Late notice.
Yeah, lazy.
Now you got something.
We're more getting into more our family line at that point, I think. Whatever you choose, and if you have a baby on the way and you've made your choice, drop it in the comments. Let us judge you.
Yes, we'll do that harshly.
Yes, of course. All right, as we get ready to wrap it up, we found some internet bull that made us laugh this week. Got a few memes and tweets to share with you. Love this one from the Nate Wolf on Twitter. Human body. I can grow a fully formed human baby in like 9 months. I'm talking brain, functioning respiratory system, eyeballs, everything. Me. Cool. How long will it take for my twisted ankle to feel better? Human body. 7 years, and it will never be the same.
That's so accurate.
100%. Sprained my ankle on a trampoline when I was in 7th grade. It has never been the same.
And now, once you're over 40, that's the way it is. Like, doctors don't even try to help you. They're like, oh, yeah, take this.
Oh, yeah, will this make it better? Oh, no. But you can't fix it. Yeah, you're too old to fix. They don't care. Speaking of the Nate Bargatze special that we mentioned earlier, he has a great bit about he's 43 now.
Okay.
And how doctor visits differ when you're in your 20s to when you're in your 40s.
Oh, okay.
And it's very accurate. Love this one from It's Andy Ryan. Who's your favorite literary vampire? Oh, the one in Sesame Street. He doesn't count. I can assure you that he does.
Now, let me just stop you right there. I kind of want to do a joke breakdown on this to explain why this is funny, because I love it.
I think it's fantastic.
That is terrific.
Well, let's see. We'll keep it in the same theme.
Count me in.
And here he is. When you realize that the last day of 2023 will be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Love it.
If you're not a Sesame Street kid, you're wasting everybody's time. Okay, as long as we're doing stuff that's old, I'm not even going to say anything. You can see this. Either you get this or you don't.
Oh, hey. Man, he's just a great guy.
Henry Winkler, if we've had the opportunity to interview him several times, and then just stories that we've heard as well, and everything about this guy is awesome.
Yeah, he's just lovable. He's on Barry. A lot of the kids now know him from Barry and Arrested Development.
Yeah.
But, you know,
The Water Boy.
Fonzie's what we knew him from. And everything he was in from that point on is like, it's Fonzie.
You wanted to be, if you were a young boy in the 70s, you wanted to be Fonzie.
But little things like he was friends with Sylvester Stallone and got the script of Rocky to ABC and sold for him because he was broke. And then ended up, Sylvester Stallone goes, they don't want me to star in it, so I need it back. So Henry Winkler went back in and said, I need to get it back, and got it back. But he was trying to help his friend. And I mean, how cool is that? And I think it started with him giving a ride to somebody.
Wow.
And they were like, yeah, we're really trying to figure out how to get this sold. And he's like, well, let me do what I can for you.
Well, everybody goes on and on about how great he is.
Yeah, he turned down the role in Grease of Danny because he said it was too similar to Fonzie.
Yeah, I just love this guy. And he's one of those guys, you know, when you're a kid, if you watch somebody like that, if they play a tough guy role like he did, Fonzie, and then you talk to him so much later. I think the first time we interviewed him was around The Waterboy.
Yeah.
And he was just the sweetest, kindest. And I was like, well, this is weird.
And I remember one of our favorite movies is Night Shift. And I said, like, oh, I got a friend I wish I could have on his voicemail you doing this scene from the movie Night Shift. And he's like, what scene? And I told him, he goes, oh, I remember that. And he's like, what's the number? Can we call him? I'll do it right now. And he did it. And it was so great.
Just a super nice guy. So sorry to get off on the Henry Winkler side thing there. But
always room for Henry.
Okay, this is a feel-good one. They replaced the street lights and put metal poles in instead of the old wood poles. But they took care of the woodpecker's house and made sure he still got a place. Look at that. They attached it to the new
I love
pole.
that.
That's pretty cool. If you live in the country somewhere, I'm not saying it's just in the Southeast, but I sure have seen a lot of this down here. You may have seen something like this. You need a permit to build a deck. You don't, however, need a permit to park a boat. Problem solved.
Wow.
Got yourself a beautiful front deck that floats.
I mean, how much could a permit for that be?
I can't imagine it's much. I don't know. This is one that made me think of you, Chris, as someone who, you know, you didn't want pets, you didn't want animals in the house, and they finally convinced you to get a dog.
They didn't convince me. I just did it.
They just, but now you love Bailey.
Yes.
And Bailey loves you.
Yes.
And that's usually how it goes. The person in the house who really least wanted the animal will end up being the closest with that animal. thought of you when I saw this one. My dad, who swore he'd never want a pet, helping our cat Buttercup get her favorite toy back from underneath the oven. I love how they're working on it together. She's got her hand under there. She's like, a little to the right, a little to the right.
That's the way Bailey does.
And then one more, and it's simple, but it's so true. Superman needs his ass kicked for this.
Oh, my goodness.
Why?
He could have just flew over there.
Why is he involving Batman and Robin, who could be off solving a different crime? He's forming a human chain like regular people.
He's like a city worker. Like, oh, we're going to need a crew of 12 for this, filling in this pothole.
I feel like somebody is cooking the books a little bit there.
Yeah, exactly.
Super. Who knew the
That
Super
was a
Friends were
10-second job at best.
They stretched it out over 3 days. Hey, thanks for watching. I think we're done.
Have a great day.
Appreciate you being here. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. After this show, I'm not sure. You want to subscribe. They're not all like this.
Yeah, please subscribe and please continue to share the post and tell your friends.
Yep, I get it out there on social media. Tony and Chris merch store. We're just about ready to get that up and launched, I think. So look for that super, super soon. And again, we thank you for your time and we thank you for watching and giving us ideas. Give us those comments, put them down there. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you'd like to see more of. And we will see you next time.